Just a quick mic check. Mr. Bonfield, are you on?
I'm on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Can everyone hear okay? If you could do a thumbs up, that'll let us know y'all can hear us. Thank you so much for everyone for joining. We're going to start in just a moment, if you could bear with us. All right, we're starting in just a moment, if you could bear with us. Thank you, everyone.
She's joining in.
She's right. Okay. Are you muted? Is your camera on?
Okay, we see you. They see you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Chief. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this press conference. We thought it was very important to be able to allow the media to hear from the Chief of Police here in Durham, along with the Mayor. We thank you both for being on the call, and we thank the members of the media for joining in and for your patience. This has definitely been something that, we're all trying to work to get the right information out and also show respect for the families involved. First, I'd like to introduce that we do have Mayor Steve Schewel on the call. He's going to be able to say a few words and then introduce Police Chief CJ Davis. After that, I will open up the floor for the media to ask any questions that you may have. And hopefully a lot of the stuff that they're going to say will answer some of those questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it. We have had last night a terrible night, a tragic night in the city of Durham. We had two shootings in which 10 people were shot. Although there has not been a loss of life recorded yet, 3 children were shot. One of them is in serious but stable condition, and another one, a 12-year-old, is in critical condition. I first want to express my sorrow and on behalf of our community, and our hearts go out to those families who had a loved one shot in these terrible incidents. But I also want to express my outrage on behalf of our community as well at people who would shoot into a party or a gathering of any type, people who are bringing gun violence and terrorizing our community. This is a relatively small number of people, but they are visiting violence on our community that is unacceptable. One of the things we know is that in order to help stop this, we need the cooperation and support of the members of our community. the witnesses to this gun violence who will come forward and support us, support their own families, and support our community by working with our police to find out who did this and to make sure that they don't ever do it again. I want to say that Chief Davis and her command staff and the Durham Police Department have my full support. I am behind them 100%. We are so fortunate that we have a fabulous police chief in Chief Davis who's done an amazing job with our police department in every way. She has my full confidence, as does the department. And I know that she has the full confidence of the city council as well. One of the things that the chief has done is to focus our efforts on the relatively small number of violent offenders who are bringing this gun violence to our community. I think that's the right strategy, and Chief Davis, again, has my full support in this strategy. So I'm sorry to have to be here today on this terrible occasion. This is never the kind of thing that any of us wants to be here for. But it's important to address our community, to express our sorrow and our solidarity with the families, and also our outrage that this could happen here on the streets of Durham. We've got to change that. And now I'm going to introduce our chief, Chief C.J. Davis, for her comments.
Thank you, Mayor Schewel. And thank you to everyone who is in attendance to hear the message that I have this morning. Sadly, this morning our community awoke after another night of senseless violence that has forever changed the lives of multiple victims and families. There is no excuse nor justification for such horrible acts against these members of our community, some of which were children. Last night at 221 South Benjamin Street, while people gathered at that residence for a party, a Black vehicle, believed to be a Chevrolet Impala, drove by the home and fired several rounds at the crowd of attendees who gathered in the front of the residence. A total of 8 individuals were shot during this incident and were transported by various means to local hospitals. 2 of the victims were just children, ages 3 and 8. Later in the evening, at 3020 Weaver Street, based on our preliminary information, it is believed that an exchange of gunfire occurred between 2 groups of people who are unknown at this time. During the incident, a bullet entered a second-floor apartment window, striking a 12-year-old victim. The victim is hospitalized and is now in critical condition. It is unknown at this time if the Benjamin Street incident and the Weaver Street shooting are related. Just last week, a 74-year-old mother was struck and killed by celebratory gunfire. As a community, we grieve with the victims and their families. However, we as a community must also stand together to prevent these egregious acts of gun violence from happening to others. The safety and well-being of our children and neighbors are all of our responsibility. We must say no more. Enough is enough. This must end. While shooting incidents are on the increase in cities around our nation, we refuse to allow the tensions of this present climate or the reckless actions of violent offenders to hinder our efforts towards ensuring safe and livable neighborhoods for all citizens. But we publicly implore to the individuals shooting at each other to find common ground and make a truce to cease this back and forth gunfire. Think of the innocent victims impacted by your actions. There are children in our community whose lives will never be the same because of the actions of those who don't care enough to put their differences aside and their guns down. The Durham Police Department will use every available resource to identify and bring to justice those that committed these horrible acts. Today, I also appeal to every community member who cares for the future of our children and others. Please speak up. Too many innocent lives have been lost or shattered by gun violence. Help us take our neighborhoods back. If you see something, please say something before another life is tragically impacted. At this time, we will open up for questions.
Thank you so much, Chief Davis, for that statement. If you would like to ask a question, if you raise your hand, and then I'll call on you so that you can be unmuted. All right, we have Charles Bradley.
Hi there, this is Aaron Thomas with WRAL News. I had one question. Of course, we're getting a lot of hearsay from different neighbors. In regards to the 12-year-old at the East Weaver Street location, did the 12-year-old live at that apartment, or were they here for some type of cookout or whatever? And then my second question is, this exchange of gunfire, is it believed that this is any type of gang activity, or is it too early to answer that question?
As far as the residents and the 12-year-old living at that location, I believe that 12-year-old was, well, and we're still trying to confirm, the 12-year-old was located at that particular location, but we're trying to confirm whether or not they were actually a resident at that particular location. As it relates to gang violence, I will say this, that even though we haven't confirmed any particular individuals associated with gangs, it is our belief that this type of activity, the characteristics of it, is associated with gangs.
Okay, thank you so much, Aaron. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, we have Bridget. If you could state your name and your station and your question, we'll unmute you shortly. Ms. Bridget Chaplin.
Hi, Bridget Chapman here with CBS 17 News. Chief, I know you spoke about the importance of people speaking up. In terms of the Weaver Street shooting, have any witnesses come forward? And if so, has their information led you anywhere? I know that you said there is no suspect information at this point.
There is no suspect information at this particular point. However, the department is following some leads. We continue to encourage our community members. Somebody was out there last night. Somebody saw something. Somebody may have even been a bystander. And this is what this appeal is about. Please say something, because we don't want those individuals who would carry out such reckless acts to continue this type of activity in our communities. So at this particular time, we are continuing to canvass that community, and we believe that there will be individuals that will provide information for us.
All right, thank you so much. Next, we have Mark Stebnicki with a question.
Kruger. Oh, hi, Chief. This is Sarah Kruger with WRAL. I just wanted to ask more information specifically about the South Benjamin Street shooting. If you have, I know you mentioned a black Chevy Impala may be involved. Do you have any more information you can share about the suspect and what a motive might have been in this?
Not sure the motive, Sarah, but we don't believe that this was just a random act. All we have is the description of that particular vehicle. And as you know, as these incidents unfold, more information comes in. So we will continue to follow those leads, and even to the point of continuing canvassing in those communities to see whether or not some leads will help us identify suspects.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Jason DeBrun.
Hi, thank you. This is Jason DeBruin. I'm with North Carolina Public Radio and the Guns and America Reporting Project. A bit more of a global question for you, if you don't mind. I think it's pretty clear that the pandemic has exacerbated some violence. I wonder if you might address how the pandemic has affected violent crime and shootings in general, perhaps for this case specifically. If you're not comfortable addressing that, tying that together to this case specifically, that's okay. But maybe if you could address how violent crime and shootings have been perhaps exacerbated because of the pandemic?
Yes, I will. And not to say that this specific case, you're absolutely right, don't want to associate it with this specific case, but we do believe that the environment, the pandemic itself has created an environment where these types of shootings have been, quite prevalent. Just by nature of the interaction between the community and officials, and of course the entire criminal justice system has been impacted. So it is very complicated environment, and we have had to adjust the manner in which we address these types of situations, and not so much in a traditional way, but at a distance, to have some very robust investigations so that we can help identify some of the individuals who are committing crimes that are related to illegal guns.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, any other questions for Chief or for the Mayor? All right, well, thank you, Chief Davis, and thank you, Mayor Schewel, for your statements and allowing for the media to ask these questions. If any members of the media, if you think of any additional questions, you can email us at dpdmedia@durhamnc.gov. Again, we're really looking for people to come forward and give us any information about any of these shootings that occurred, and we're hoping that you guys can get the word out so that we can get the word out to get.
Hey, Amanda,
witnesses or
I hate to
details.
interrupt you, but Tom Donahue has a question. He's trying to get in.
All right, no problem. We'll let him in.
Hi, this is Tim Pulliam speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Tim, go ahead.
Hi there. Sorry about that. The video was not playing. Chief Davis, I have a two-part question. From what I understand, we've been here before last year with Zion Person being shot and killed last summer. And I do recall you introducing ShotSpotter as something that could help in these types of investigations. You presented that to the city, and the mayor just said in his opening remarks that you have his full support. So I want to know, where are things with ShotSpotter? Do you think it could have helped in this situation? And will you try to present that again to the city?
Well, Tim, yes, it's been about a year now since not just the discussion about ShotSpotter, but since we had a press conference very similar to this related to Zion Person. And this is getting old, not just as a police chief, but as a community member, a mother, to see the reckless disregard for life in our community. The Durham Police Department and I intend to seek out every opportunity to quell this type of activity, whether it's through technology, whether it's through other innovations. And the only thing we can do is continue to try to work together. This is very surreal. This is, it's a situation that I think we're all very frustrated about, and we are all seeking for answers. So I will continue to work towards employing any type of systems and technology that will ensure, or at least help to ensure, the safety of our community members.
All right, thank you. I'm opening up the group chat to see that I guess people weren't able to raise their hand, but I do see there's a question from Crystal Price as well.
Yes, hi, this is Crystal Price with CBS 17. I was wondering if we could get an update on the conditions of the other victims at Benjamin Street. Is everyone expected to be okay?
Right now, there are 2 individuals that are still in serious condition or critical condition, and then the others, I think, are in stable condition.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, Virginia Bridges.
Hi, Virginia from the News and Observer. Last year, Chief, you had requested 6 new officers for the gang unit, which you were granted. Where where is that process in the hiring or bringing on those new members, and have they assisted in this investigation?
Yes, we had deployed those individuals into the gang unit at that particular time, Virginia. Of course, that wasn't the totality of the ask. However, those individuals have been very busy throughout our city. If you keep up with the number of shootings that occur in the city that we think are gang related, those 6 individuals are working around the clock trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. And of course, they're being supported by other officers on patrol and other investigative units. We will continue to look internally to try to move individuals around as this problem continues to fester and manifest itself in a way that is difficult to control. But we will continue to put all of the resources that we have to bear towards this particular issue. And yes, those investigators have done extremely good work. They hit the ground running with some of the gang issues, but we still have a problem in our city that we're trying to get our arms around.
All right, thank you. And last question, Alyssa.
Hi, Alyssa from the News and Observer. What kind of intervention are police planning to do to reduce the number of shootings?
Say that again.
What kind of intervention are police planning to do to reduce the number of shootings in the city?
At this particular time, and I mentioned the current state of events as far as, the pandemic that we're dealing with and the many other issues at hand. We are moving resources around and, trying to get our community to assist and provide information, especially about illegal gun activity, illegal gun sales, and even stolen weapons to get some of these guns off the street. We continue to seize weapons, from the streets, but, we only have the capacity to do but so much. But that doesn't mean we aren't going to continue to try to stop some of the gun violence. But we are asking for the assistance from our community members, especially those who have to experience gunfire and the diminishing quality of life from this type of activity.
All right, thank you, Chief. We also want to thank our City Manager, Tom Bonfield, for being on the call. We also see that City Councilwoman Freeman is also on the call. We want to thank you both for joining, and also Mayor Steve Schewel for his statements. And Mayor Schewel, if you don't have any additional remarks, is there anything else you'd like to add? Okay. And Chief, anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you to everybody who is attending. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, if you have any additional questions we didn't answer here, you can email us at dpdmedia@durhamnc.gov. We also like to note that all of this was being broadcast live on our social media pages as well as on the city, so that everyone can be able to be informed about this. And again, please help us to spread the word so we can try to bring closure to these families and find out who is responsible. Thank you all so much.